Is going on, everyone? Thank you for joining me on today's video. How you all doing? I'm Mr. AJ Focus and this is my Fiesta ZSD. So today we're going to be working on the suspension on the car, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing this because, as you know, I've been wanting to get on with the suspension for quite some time. So now today is the day. Yeah, before we do start today's video, if you're new to the channel, subscribe at the bottom. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Should all be at the bottom of the screen. Click the like button as well. That really does help the videos. And yeah, any questions and whatnot, feel free to leave it down below. I'll do my best to get back to you. If not, go on Instagram. So yeah, we're going on with the suspension today. So we're going to be putting 35mm lowering springs all round. Got new shock absorbers to go on the front. New top hats, new dust covers, new bump stops, new everything going on the front. And we're going to assemble them first because the standard shocks and springs on the front are just going to be coming out as one whole unit. There's no point swapping over springs onto the standard shocks on here because they're just very, very rusty and corroded. And they're very, very hard to get out once they start rusting in there. So your best bet is just to buy some new shocks and top hats. I'd rather would do that anyway because it's all new then. And the steering should feel quite nice after that's all done. Anyway, it's been a while since I've made a video and I'm trying to get into the routine again. So yeah, like I said, click the like button and subscribe if you're new. So here we go, we're getting on with it. So this is what I've got lined up to go on the Fiesta. As you can see, lots of new parts going on, new lowering springs. The rear springs are already on the car, so I'm just going to show you how I've done that. Very, very simple and very, very easy. But yeah, we've got some new shock absorbers, we've got some new lowering springs. A lot of people buy these AMAX ones and they got really, really good reviews, and also looking at the quality of them as well, the thickness of the spring compared to the stock one is much better, and also is powder coated in this nice yellowy paint on here as well, just to protect it from corrosion and rusting away as well. There's new shock absorbers because, like I said, the old ones will rust quite badly from this point here downwards, and then you're stuck trying to get these off because they would go on there, and then that would be seized to heck in there. So I'll just got some new top hats as well, and all new bearings and that, so that should feel much nicer in the car. Obviously, the most important thing is dust covers as well, to put them over there to protect the shock absorber from dirt and water and corrosion and all the harmful stuff on UK roads. And also bump stops as well, because you don't really want to go over a bump and then the shock absorber completely compresses and ruins your spring and ruins your shock, so, and it just ruins your day as well. So you're best off getting dust covers and new bump stops as well. I've got these from KYB. These are very well known in the stock. They're just stock covers, yeah, nothing exciting. Same as the top hats as well, just no aftermarket stuff here apart from the springs and shocks and that, but other than that, everything else is just completely Fiesta stuff. Just to swap on over. So I'm going to assemble these shock absorbers. Things you're going to need though, tool wise, are spring clamps like these. So these are new ones I bought as well, just because you want to compress the new springs down onto the shock. As you can see, the shock is fully decompressed now, so it's fully out. So the spring is obviously too tall for the top hat to get on there, as you can see. So I need to compress the spring down to get the top hat on, and yeah, because these shocks are now fully out. Yeah. So yeah, that just won't work. So we need to compress the spring down. So we're going to do that. Put the dust cover on, put the bump stop on first. Don't forget to do that first. Put these two things on first. Yes. Before I do all that, I am literally just going to crack on, get one side of the car done, and I'll get back to you guys in a little while, and we'll move on to the other side together, because I want to attack the driver's side first, because this side rusts up the most. It's because I put these rubber grommets in here. Normally this is all exposed, so water gets in there. As you can see, it's very, very rusty and corroded in it, and I know where I'm going to put those top hats back on, because that was not going to budge. Look at that in there. God damn. I've actually sprayed WD-40 on there because I did try getting these off a few weeks ago, and well, a week ago, sorry, or however long ago it was, and I couldn't get them out just because that's completely seized and corroded in there. And looking at the top hat in there, you can just about see it. All this is, ugh, it's all rusty and nasty. Ugh. So yeah, I wasn't even going to bother trying to disassemble those shocks and everything, so I thought I'd just buy new stuff. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna crack on and do this side off camera, and then I'll come back in a minute and we'll do the passenger side together. So I'm just gonna go do the springs, compress it, put it all together, chuck it on the car, and I will show you how I've done all that in a little while. So see you in a sec. Alright guys, so what I'm doing now actually, instead of showing you how I'm going to do it, because it is a very long and tedious process if you have a very rusty old Fiesta. This is, I don't know how long it's been, I don't know what the time is to be honest. So it's 2:20. I started over an hour ago and now it's all put together. Just finished putting it all together. So there we go. New shock, new spring. Got the new drop link on there as well, freshly painted, yellow calipers, and the colour scheme under here. Ah, looks nice. Can't wait to see what that feels like and drives like now. So it's going to be, hopefully, not too stiff and not too bouncy. It should be somewhere in the middle. Obviously the springs need to settle over a few days, so yeah, when you come to do this. Also, one thing you might notice, the writing's on upside down. It's because weirdly you have to put the spring, it looks like you're putting the spring on upside down, but you're not. Is when you put the top hats on up there, that first coil has to sit completely flush against the top hat. Actually, it's best off I'll show you in here. So first of all, I thought the spring would sit like that with the writing facing upwards, and then the top hat would sit on there like that, but it doesn't, because the top hat wants to sit sideways like that. So even when I've uncompressed the spring when I did it, the top hat still wanted to sit sideways like that, and that's no good. You can't have a wonky sideways spring. And then I flipped the spring on this side like that, and you can see it's got a flat bottom. Sits right in there, all the way around, perfectly. And then this bit at the bottom here, then sit nicely in the shock absorber like that. And when the spring is fully decompressed and in the weight of the car and that, the spring will level itself out, and that will sit in there along with the top hat nicely. So that'll be nice and straight when it all goes on. Right, so I'm gonna probably not film the next part of me putting this in the car, because like I said, it's very, very long and I use so many tools out here to get that out. Yeah, 15mm, I've got standard drop links. These are new ones I've recently put on, and the bolt size is different on here. So 15mm, just undo that and then remove your drop link to one side. You can still leave it connected down there, you don't need to disconnect it completely. Take off your brake lines, obviously. I'll remove the track rod end, so I'll remove the bolt from here and then knock that out, and then that way you can maneuver the hub towards you back and forth. I left the dry shaft in, don't put on it too much. And then down here, that bolt there is a 15mm as well. So yeah, I use my special sockets that you've seen me use before in the little red box there, which is, if I can find it, these special sockets. Look at that. Because I knew that bolt was going to be tight, so I wanted a socket that would grip right into it. Here you go, you can see it better now. So yeah, it gripped right into it, and then just cracked that off. I sprayed a lot of WD-40 around the top, underneath, and in here. And as I'm undoing it from the other side, I was spraying WD-40 on the back part of the bolt. And as it's coming through, the WD-40 is obviously coming through with it. It's obviously just to keep it lubed up as you're trying to pull it out, because obviously it's going to be rusty and you don't want to snap that off. So yeah, I just kept spraying a little bit every now and then, a bit of WD-40 here and there to help it slide through. And then obviously, because you need to try and remove the shock absorber, so you remove the 3 bolts from the top. I left one in while I was trying to get the shock tower out, so normally to widen the gap, so then the so that gap there, so slowly widen the gap so then I can push out the shock absorber completely. And yeah, and then new one is a little bit of a struggle to get in, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, just use a bit of copper grease on the shaft, on the bottom part of the shock absorber. Put that in, do it back up at the top. You will struggle, it will be a wriggle and a struggle to get that in to sit straight, but I'll just keep using my jack under here, up and down to wriggle that into place, because I'm doing it by myself. I ain't got a second pair of hands to help me, so I was using the jack to wriggle all of this. Yeah, I was using the jack to wriggle this, so I was jacking it one bit at a time and then wriggling this to sit into place. And then as soon as it's seated properly, I just put it all back together, as you see here. And there we go. So Focus ST 300mm discs, caliper's been rebuilt, Harrow braided brake lines, new drop link, new shock absorber, new springs, new dust covers, new bump stops, and new top hats. And yeah, I do need to go to a garage, and I do need to get a new end link here, just this part here, this piece, because that boot is coming away. It's already got a new one that side, so while I'm at the garage, I could do it myself, but you know what, I'm going to muck around with the tracking that way, so I might as well just get a garage just to replace that and then track the car, because the car's going to be tracked anyway. Now I've done the suspension, so I'll go to a garage and I'll just get them to order a new piece, put that on, and then they can track the car there and then. The back of the car. So you join me on the back of the car. Oh no exhaust for the minute. As you can see, I've put the springs on here, so the only way you can do this is really undo that bolt there. Same on the other side. So that's the lower bolt of the shock absorber. Jack the car up, let the subframe fall down, pull out the old spring, put the new springs in place, make sure they're seated properly at the top and at the bottom. Jack the subframe if you've got a spare jack, or if you put the actual body on axle stands, then use the jack to jack up the subframe into place, and put your bolt back through and your shock absorber, and then that's it really on the back. That's how you do the lowering springs on the back, or just springs in general. Coilovers as well, it's the same. Again, I didn't know which way these springs sit. Doesn't tell you in the instructions, but I remember when I looked at my pictures of my Focus ST, I had lowering springs on there, and this is how they sat on my ST as well. So the more compressed part would be at the bottom, and then the more springy part would be at the top. But yeah, the only problem is I don't really like it. I wish there was some sort of rubber stripping on here to protect the spring, because obviously when you're going to keep driving, it's going to move around, it's going to keep eating away at the paint. And yeah, that's the only downside. But other than that though, that's how easy it is to do the rear suspension. I mean, if you're doing full shock absorbers as well, you have to take the wheel off, undo the 2 bolts under the wheel arch this side, and then undo that bolt at the bottom of the shock absorber to remove the shock. Other than that, I'm going to call that a wrap. I'm going to put the wheel on and jack the car down. Obviously that side's still high. I'm going to see what it looks like now that's done. Put the wheel on, and then I'll show you what it will look like. Alright, so put the car back down. It is yeah, definitely noticeable. Obviously, like I said, it comes back in a few days' time, and it will completely settle a little bit more. Might even drop another inch or 2, but you can definitely see already. I can by my eye. It might not show up on camera. Difference compared to the height on this side. Oh yeah, you can definitely see it. When you're sat in the car, you can see it tilting one side. Right, I'm going to go grab something to eat, and then I'm going to come and do that bit in a minute. But yeah, there we go. That's the Learn Springs done on my Fiesta, and I like it. I can't wait to see what it feels like. I can't wait to do that side and watch it compress and lower completely. So I'm not going to go ridiculously low, just a nice height, a nice comfort. Anyway, I'm going to end the video there, because I'm absolutely knackered now doing that. See you guys later on. Thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll probably put a bonus clip on the end of this as well, just so when it's all completely done, so you guys can see that. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, ciao for now. Okay, some bonus footage right now. Passenger side. Out. A bit more difficult this side because obviously the drive shaft isn't as long as the other side, and you've got to be careful not to pull it out because of the gearbox. Don't lose any gearbox oil, so I'm just getting it a good old clean up under here. It's a good time to get under here and give this all a good clean out as well. All that under there, I've just under sealed all that under there and then spray a little bit of silver paint over it. Looks nice and clean and fresh under there, just stop it from rusting anymore. So yeah, now I'm just need to get the new shocking spring. Mark that in place, put a little bit, just a tiny bit of copper grease in there, and on the, just tripped on that, and a little bit of the shaft there at the bottom, just a little bit of copper grease, just so that it slides in there nicely, and then yeah, wrestle it in there.